Welcome to the Carl B. Phillips Show, hosted by gospel music industry veteran, recording artist, songwriter, producer, radio announcer, and actor, Carl B. Phillips. Join Carl as he talks with gospel recording artists, producers, songwriters, pastors, and other creatives about music, ministry, and life. Get ready for another great conversation on the Carl B. Phillips Show.
This week's guest on the Carl B. Phillips Show, urban contemporary gospel recording artist, Brent Jones. Welcome to the Carl B. Phillips Show. I am Carl B. Phillips, Uncle Carl. Today's guest is a trailblazer in urban contemporary gospel music. He's a singer, songwriter. His songs have reached #1 on Billboard Gospel charts, and he's a Stellar Award winner. Please help me welcome the legendary Brent Jones. What's up,
What's
Brent?
up? What's up, Uncle Carl? I see you.
Yeah,
We
man.
uncles now.
Yeah, I'm in unk status, so I've learned to embrace it. You know, some people
I embrace it too.
yeah, the people that honor me as unk, man, I'm good. I'm good with it.
Right?
Well, as I
Yes,
told
sir.
you, I'm going to ask a couple of random questions. The
Okay.
first random questions: what were some of the rules in your home when you were a kid?
Some of the rules. Well, there are many because I come from two parents that were born and raised in the South,
Mhm.
and they didn't play all this new school stuff. They didn't play all that. So some of the rules were you didn't say the word "but" when you're referring to your bottom or your buttocks, and you didn't say the word "shut up." So those were two of the rules. There was many. And I grew up, I was spoiled, but I was not a spoiled brat. I was not allowed to be a spoiled brat.
Mhm.
But I was spoiled in the sense that I was the only child and all the attention was on me. And I have two very good parents. They didn't make it as husband and wife, but they never gave up on, taking care of me. And so the rule is that if you're going to live here comfortably when you're 16, you have to have a job.
Wow.
That was another rule. 16. They were grooming me with that when I entered into middle school.
Mhm.
So that was 12. When you're 16, you're going to have to go get a job. Now, I was already a minister. I was already a musician at a church and playing for everybody, making money, but they didn't consider that a job.
Wow.
So when you're 16, you have to go get a job. That meant you went to McDonald's or Wendy's or KFC or, one of those fast foods, and you got you a job, 20 hours a week, and you don't have to be a straight A student, but you cannot be an F student, and you can't be a C student. So you're going to have to be, you're allowed to be a B student. Because their mentality was, we pay all your bills, we take care of you, you ain't got to do nothing but study and do your homework.
And at 16, get a job.
And 16, get a job. We don't need your money, but you need to know work ethic. Yeah. 16, go get you a job. You all right. So I was playing at the church. Mm-hmm. And I was making McDonald's money. I was making $3.50 an hour. Come on, somebody. Now at McDonald's in Los Angeles, you make $20 an hour.
Wow.
The minimum wage at McDonald's in Los Angeles, ladies and gentlemen, $20 an hour.
So how much is the Big Mac in Los Angeles now?
I don't even know, but I know the days of going to McDonald's and doing something under $10, those days are gone. I know everything now at McDonald's, you're going to pay $12 at least.
That is so true. Doing my research, it said that you began piano lessons at the age of 6.
Yes.
What about the piano that made you want to play piano?
Well, that was a rule. You're talking about rules in my house. Mm-hmm. I told my parents I wanted to be in the music industry, and I wanted to be a singer, and I wanted to be on stage. And so they said, okay, So one of the rules was, if you want to do that, you must learn how to play an instrument. Instruments wasn't really on my radar, but they said, if you want to be in this music industry, you got to learn how to play an instrument. They said, you get to pick. So at 6 years old on a Sunday morning, I said, okay, I want it to be piano. That Friday, there was a piano sitting in my family room. That following Monday, I started taking piano lessons. And my first 4 or 5 years of piano was all classical. So therefore, I know how to read and melodies and know how to sight read and, all that kind of stuff. But yeah, my parents had rules, dude. I don't get this new generation. I don't get this new generation with, living without rules and stuff. No, we had rules. And I'm not even going to say all the rules was correct, but you had them. If you're going to live up under my roof, come on, somebody. This is what you're going to do. You don't get to pray about it. You don't get to fast about it. You don't get to wonder or dream about it. These are the rules.
That's that old school.
Yeah, these are the rules. And that's how I raised my daughter. My daughter, she young, but she got them old school rules, old school mentality. This is my house. Now, look, when I'm in your house, I'm going to have to follow your rules. Right.
Wait a minute. When you become a senior, you got to move in with her. Then you got to follow her rules.
I got to follow her rules. And I'm already trained for that. I'm good, man. I am so good. So, yeah, it was piano. Playing the piano was one of the rules. You want to be in the industry? Fine. Learn how to play instrument. You pick. Piano was my pick.
One of the things that I found interesting, because I like to research. So I found this book called Uncloudy Day that I have at my house. And in the book, there's a part about Brent Jones and the TP Mob. Bill wrote the book. I don't know if you remember that. This probably, I don't know how many years old this book is. But in the book, I'm going to quote a line where he said, "You were raised in a conservative Methodist denomination, but you were influenced by artists who had a gift for mixing R&B with gospel, such as John P. Kee and the Clark Sisters. How did those artists' music impact your interpretation of gospel music? Especially, you said you had a classical background, but now you're hearing these grooves from the Clarks and from John P. Kee. So how did that influence you musically?"
Well, actually, I was even influenced before that, because it really wasn't John P. Kee and the Clark Sisters. Those became my later influences. But right off the bat, being that I grew up in a conservative Methodist background, everything was very separated. Music was separated. You listen to gospel music on Sunday, but on Friday and Saturday, you listen to what the church calls secular music. I like to call it mainstream music, And so because of that, I was influenced by Teddy Riley. I was influenced by Terry Lewis and Jimmy Jam, those kind of producers, Babyface, all those kind of mainstream songwriting producers. And I got the songwriting book early. So when it came to songwriting, those guys that I just named, they influenced me. And then when I found out that John P. Kee, at the first gospel concert that I went to of his, and he was mixing those bass lines, and I was like, oh my God. And then, I didn't grow up with a whole bunch of gospel around me like you get in Detroit. So when I finally heard the Clark Sisters, and they were using that Stevie Wonder reggae bass line, I was like, oh my God, this is ridiculous. I absolutely love this. And so, yeah, I was the guy that was trying to figure out, gospel music is too limited. We got to take it out of the walls of the church. So we got to use other sounds, and so let's use the mainstream sounds. And so that was my influence. So it was the mainstream music that influenced me, but it was the Clarks and John P. Kee that pushed me and commissioned, of course, and there were so many sounds of blackness, BB and CeCe, that was really the influence,
Earlier, you made the statement about being an only child.
Mm-hmm.
I'm an only child also. And
Mm-hmm.
as only children, we tend to be kind of creative.
Mm-hmm.
You think of that being an only child, how did that help you in your creativity?
Um, well, it was just me a lot.
Mhm.
So I was around a lot of adults a lot. And I remember being very okay with being by myself, being alone. I didn't consider it alone. It's just something that I was. I didn't have brothers and sisters and, uh, you know, waking up with, siblings and, doing Christmas with siblings. It was just me. And then my parents decided that they were not going to work as a couple. So in middle school ages, and, so my parents divorced when I was 13, and I went through high school with divorced parents. And then they decided to actually get remarried. Now,
Mm.
go figure, get remarried. I'm talking about wedding, bridesmaids, bouquets of roses, honeymoon. I mean, they really did it. They got married the second time when I graduated from high school.
Okay.
So that lasted for all of 10 months.
Oh, wow.
And they re-divorced. How about that? My family was full of drama, uh, full of, in-house drama, lots of fighting and arguing, a lot of verbal abuse. Didn't see a lot of physical abuse, but a lot of verbal abuse. And I grew up in an area called Orange County, so I was pretty much the only black male doing everything, so I was the black male in all my classes. I never had any black teachers. I never had any black neighbors. I just didn't, and so here I always felt I was the only everything, So, but I think it made me go inside of myself for the songwriting gift that I have. I got to put words down on paper. I learned a lot. I love English and language and words, and I love that. And so I was able to, using figurative language in my songwriting and all of that. So I think that helped me just kind of focus in. It was just me. So I had to, really focus and be okay with me and falling in love with myself.
It's interesting, and this isn't scripted. So being an only child myself, I can relate to that. How
Mm-hmm.
you don't have the comfort of brothers and sisters, older or younger. You have to
Mm-hmm.
learn how to entertain yourself, how to keep
Mm-hmm.
yourself active. And then even as you get older, having to learn how to share is
Mm-hmm.
challenging. Do you find that?
Mm-hmm.
How to
Yeah.
share yourself?
When I got married, I was like, so this is my room now that it's turned to our room. Hmm. you know, I was like, wow, okay. That was an adjustment. My wife is the oldest of three. And, and then she had step siblings. And so she was really the oldest of six.
Mhm.
So she understood it, you know. So the sharing of space, the sharing of just being at the dinner table, just being at, whatever. But you said we don't have anybody to share it with. Well, being an only child, the some of the dark side of it is that sometimes you don't have anybody to protect you. I'm
Right.
not talking about physically. I'm talking about emotionally protect you or
Mhm.
mentally protect you from stuff, And sometimes having a sibling can be the redirection of some abuse that could happen.
Right.
Having a sibling, a big brother, a big sister, a little brother, a little sister, can be the the redirecting of something that could happen. And so I didn't have that. So I was again, very blessed. My parents were very professional. They had professional jobs and they did well for themselves. And, I guess I grew up with a silver spoon in my mouth, but there was a lot of drama at home. a lot of drama at home. And mentally, I was just as broken as somebody being homeless on the street on the physical level, and mentally and emotionally.
It's interesting that you would say that, because again, as only children, you don't have that outlet. Sometimes just having someone that you can trust to talk to,
Right.
even in getting married, like when I got married, I had to learn how to be responsible for somebody else's child. I'm like,
Yeah.
I don't know how to do this.
Yeah. Right. Right.
I know how to take care of me, but
Right.
to be a husband and to share and to
Mm-hmm.
love and to care and all that, I don't
Mm-hmm.
know how to do that.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I was like you. I was raised with Southern parents that, you go to work, you take care of that person. That's what,
Mm-hmm.
what we do.
Mm-hmm.
All right, let's not get real deep because we'll get both emotional about that only child thing because I could talk about that
Right.
forever.
Oh, I can go on forever. Mm-hmm.
All right,
Yeah. So there's pros and cons to it.
yeah.
Trust me. Yes.
Here's another random question. If you were given $100,000 to spend on yourself in 1 week, what would you spend the money on?
Um. Okay. Well, $100,000 in LA is not a lot of money. But I hear your question. I would, if I $100,000, at this state of my life, I would just put it away.
Mhm.
I might invest in some more real estate. I just wouldn't do it in Cali real estate because $100,000 wouldn't be the down payment I would even need. But I would probably come to Detroit, and maybe with all this renaissance that's going around here, I'm in your city now. All this renaissance that's going on. Maybe I would invest in something, a real estate, something here now. Mm-hmm.
I know in the book you joked about not talking about your age, but in our conversation, I can hear that you're at a place of maturity where things don't matter that once mattered before.
Oh yeah, oh yeah, and I'm glad about it too. I love this space. Being in my 50s, things that affected me when I was 30 don't affect me now.
Right.
And I wish I knew then what I know now. Lord have mercy. So, but yeah, it's good. It's mentally and emotionally good to be in my 50s now. Even in my career, as in the music industry, everybody's wants to be 30 and below. Everybody's looking to be the new young sexy thing. I like my mature older self. Physically I think I'm sexier. Mentally I think that I'm wiser. Emotionally I think I'm stronger. And musically I really think that I'm a seasoned giant because I understand what I understand what this industry is still yearning for. Right. And this industry is still yearning for good songs, even in mainstream. You may not like the artist, but if the song is good, this song is good. There's some hit songs that I absolutely abhor the concept. Some of this ratchet hip hop, some of this just so ratchet. But then I understand why it's a hit because I'm a songwriter. And I make a lot of my money being a songwriter. So I understand the value of a hit song. Okay. Even Quincy Jones says, you can be a good singer all you want, all day, all night. But if you don't have a good song, it's so temporary. Where you can be a bad singer. But if you have great songs, you could be a bad singer and have a career. I can go down the line, but I'm not going to shade nobody, But, people kill me talking about, ooh, they can't sing, or ooh, that. Okay, well, let me just give you an example. They talk about how Mary J. Blige, can't sing. Let me tell you something. Mary J. Blige can't sing her way to a 30-year iconic career.
Right.
Come on here. Okay. All these little runs and scats that we be trying to, focus on. Mary J. Blige don't do that. But Mary J. Blige has a catalog that she can stay on stage for 3 hours, touch your neighbor and say 3 hours, and do Mary J. Blige content. And guess what? The audience is going to know all the words. Hello.
Well, look at Frankie Beverly.
Come on here. Oh, I can name her. Oh, I can name them now.
Richard,
Frankie, New Edition, Stevie Wonder, so miss me with, the best singer, I guess I can sing, people say that I can sing, but I don't focus in on that. I really don't, when I'm writing material, I'm not focusing, ooh, okay, so I gotta make sure that my vocal is dope. I gotta make sure that I, I don't. I want to make sure the song is good. So when I can sing or not, the song lasts.
I think when you
The
talk about,
song lasts.
of course, in gospel music, we can't not talk about Kirk Franklin. Kirk could tell you he can't sing,
Right,
but he has a
right.
catalog that
Kurt Franklin is the #1 gospel artist of all time, and he doesn't sing at all. So don't even get me started. So yeah, these people talking about, ooh, they can't sing. Okay, well, you take your singing self. Your singing self is at the house wanting a gig. You know,
some of the best singers in gospel can't buy a record.
Well, Jesus. Okay. So you
I'll be
tempting me
honest.
now. You tempting me now.
Well, we won't name names.
Yeah,
Let's talk a little bit more about your music. 1992, you formed the TP Mob.
Yeah.
What's the meaning behind the name TP Mob?
Well, it's a group of us in our 20s that wanted to take this great music to the street. When I say the street, a lot of times when you say street, people think you want to, just walk up and down the hood and the ghetto or whatever. We were all from Orange County. All of our parents made great, decent money, and we were all middle class kids. Okay. So we just wanted to take it outside the four walls of the church. The message of love and power and grace and, and inclusivity and whatever. And so TP stood for total praise. And we just wanted to take the music to a bigger platform than just the four walls of First Baptist Church or St. James Missionary Kojic Hallelujah, church. I mean, we just wanted to do that. And so we loved hip hop. We loved the culture of the fashion. And we were just being ourselves. We were just being kids who love gospel music and its message and the reason behind the message, God, Jesus, his love. And let me tell you something, Uncle Carl. The pastors would not let us rehearse in their churches.
Wow.
Because they didn't like Brent Jones's, what he stood for. They didn't like the music. It didn't sound like Sunday morning. The pastor, now this, first of all, as a 50-year-old man thinking about what was happening to me at that time, I get very emotional about it because we are children in our 20s, young Black people, and you are a pastor of a church, and you're stopping us from rehearsing at your church because you don't like the style of gospel music. Now, that'd be different if we were in there, acting a fool, doing ratchet stuff like, Sexy Red and all that kind of stuff. We were doing gospel music. And because we didn't have choir robes on and some of us had tats and earrings and dressed in hip hop, you didn't let us rehearse in your church, and you're the pastor. The pastor.
Right.
Would not let children rehearse in your church. That breaks my heart right there. That breaks my heart. If I knew of a young group that wanted to, and I'm a pastor, and you needed a place to rehearse, and you were doing something positive for the young black adults and all that, and youth, of course you can have my church to rehearse. No charge. Wow. Of course you can. Of course you can. It's a no-brainer. But they got together on me, would have meetings on me. Oh, wow. They literally had meetings on me. Don't let Brent rehearse in your church. He's trying to take our youth. Really?
Wow.
Yes. Yeah, I'm not bitter now. I used to be very bitter about it. I'm not bitter about it, but I understand it now. As a father of, my daughter will turn 30 years old. My daughter came to me and said, Daddy, I got a group. And we were 22, 23, 25, less than 25. We were coming to Pathers. I was going to Pathers. Can we rehearse in your church on a Monday night? We just need the sound system and some air conditioning and da-da-da-da-da, and we'll pay. We'll pay you. No, well, Minister Jones, we'll have to get back to you. No, they didn't even call me Minister Jones. Brother Jones, we'll have to get back to you.
Wow.
And they were having meetings on me. Did not rehearse. So we ended up rehearsing at a studio that Disneyland is, near us. And so Disney had a studio. Disneyland had a rehearsal studio close to that area in Anaheim, California. And we rehearsed there and paid them $30 an hour. And that's what we rehearsed. Because the pastor
wouldn't allow
don't get me started. I'm sorry, I'm already started though, huh?
So, when you talk about your history, one of your first recordings was a song written by you called Spirit Control Me for the Comes Home project.
Mm-hmm.
That opportunity happened for you and the TP Mob.
Being at the right place at the right time. In California, Southern California, LA especially, that's what happens. A lot of people, millions of people every year come to this city because you never know where you're going to be. You could be at a Starbucks and some producer or some movie director will be there having some coffee and they kind of overhear your conversation that you're in the music and, yada, yada, yada. So that's kind of what happened. Some producer was somewhere we were, and I think it was the House of Blues. Maybe they saw us, or I don't know. And they were like, "Oh my God, we're doing this project." I think it was for Motown, and Motown Comes Home or something. And we're looking for a group. We were no names at that time, and Boyz II Men, Stevie Wonder, Shanice had a big song out then, Smile, and Boyz II Men was killing them back in the early 90s. And so, yeah, we just kind of got on by, favor, I can't say it was deep and, I don't want to over spiritualize it. It was just being in Los Angeles. This is what happens. You go to McDonald's and somebody's like, don't I know you? Did I hear you singing somewhere? Yeah, well, I'm looking for an artist to do such and such. That's why people move here, for all the opportunities, because there's thousands of opportunities all the time, every day, so. Mm-hmm.
One of the things I shared with you, I was out in LA back around 2000. Professor Robertson brought me out to present me with an award at UCLA for my work in gospel music.
Mm-hmm. I call him Professor.
When I was there, Neely Dickerson took me to Andre Russell's studio, station. And
KJLH.
That's when he introduced me to you with your project that had that hit song, Good Times. That was the joint back in the day.
Wow.
What was the feeling like to have your own music in the marketplace the way you had envisioned it for years? And were you surprised that not only gospel embraced your music, but also R&B audience embraced your music also?
Yeah, I was blown away. But you know what though, Carl? I'm still blown away when I hear my music on the radio. I don't take it lightly. I hear my music if I'm driving and I turn to Sirius XM or your station or anybody's station, I hear my music, I get very, very, very somber, and not in a bad way. I shouldn't say somber, but I get very grateful, because it's like, it don't have to be like this. My new single, Live Your Best Life, is #1 here, I think, in Detroit. I don't take that for granted, man. That is a blessing. God is smiling on what I love to do, and so I'm just grateful. I remember those times when Good Time would come on after Jodeci, or Good Time would come on after Brandy, and I was like, oh my God, and the video was being played on mainstream Video Soul and Video, you remember Video Soul on BET. So, man, I loved it, but it was exactly what I wanted. I wanted different ears to hear my music other than just church people. Yeah.
So 22 years after your debut, you released Nothing Else Matters. Instead of complaining, praise him. Went #1 on Billboard and earned you a Stellar Award for Choir of the Year. 22 years in the industry, what did achieving those goals or those heights mean to you?
Well, there's a lot of story before Nothing Else Matters, but since you talked about Nothing Else Matters, we'll stay there. Nothing Else Matters was inspired by a Teddy Riley group, Southern boy band called High Five.
Mm-hmm.
High Five's big single called The Kissing Game, one of my favorite songs in the whole world, okay? It's The Kissing Game that inspired the music for Nothing Else Matters. But Nothing Else Matters came as a result of me being completely depressed during COVID.
Mm-hmm.
I don't have that testimony that I was walking around during COVID, speaking in tongues, praying, and you know, just I got the joy of the Lord in spite of what's going on around me. I'm just gonna give God my praise. I wasn't in that space. I was in a very dark space, very scary place. My anxiety had just gone through the roof. I didn't know all my tours are being canceled. Lord, I'm not gonna pay my bills. How am I gonna, you know, I was scared, Carl. You know, I'm sorry. Yeah, I'm a gospel artist, but guess what? Your boy was scared. Yeah, I got a song called Fear and Faith Can't Live Together, but your boy was scared. You know, I was, what? And then I'm waking up every morning and 10 more thousand people and died? What? You know, that thing, COVID-19, ladies and gentlemen, mentally speaking, took me out. So I needed a song to take me out of my rut, my depression, and my funk. And so that's what it was. I put on The Kissing Game and I just started. The Kissing Game just was like that Teddy Riley drums and that beautiful harmonies from Little Tony and the boys, High Five, man. And I just started saying, instead of complaining, I dare you to praise him. I don't care who's looking at me. I like the way, man. Yes, sir. And so I said, okay, this is going to be my praise and worship song.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, the opening says, I want to praise you, lift you up. You got to get to a place to where your praise gets to a place where you don't care who's looking. Because, you know, in church, we walk in, we looking at who's there. We looking at what they wearing today and who they with. And, you know, you got to get to a place in your praise where you don't care who's looking at you, you know. And so that's how Nothing Else Matters came about.
Your latest single, you talked about it a little earlier, Live Your Best Life.
Oh, my God.
I love the hook. It's good to be alive, but it's best to live.
Yes.
And we talked a little earlier about when you get to your 50s, like I'm in my 60s now.
Uh-huh.
And living life is important to me.
Come on.
I was talking to a friend of mine recently, and I said, you know, I'm learning to appreciate the waves of the ocean, breeze in the air, the leaves. It's good to be alive, but just appreciating life, living life.
It disturbs me, Carl. Can I just say this? It disturbs me when I hear the saints, not the world, the saints, Holy Ghost filled, fire baptized. How you doing today? I'm 6 feet above ground. Huh? Oh well, it's good. I'm alive.
But you're not living.
Okay. Well, he came that we have life and have it more abundant.
Right.
I'm glad that you recognize that life is a gift. God bless you. I'm glad you recognize that 6 feet above ground is better than 6 feet underground. All the little cliches that y'all using in the church.
Right.
I said, but as much as we praise and shout, you mean to tell me you gonna settle at just being alive? Well, Brent Jones is not going to settle for being alive. Okay. I'm going to live.
I think a lot of times in church, we forget to live the life that God has granted us to live. And I didn't learn it till I was in my 50s. And
I get it, man.
In my 50s, I decided to travel the country and ride roller coasters.
Yes.
Find a reason to live. So when you think about live your best life, how are you living your best life now?
Well, I had to heal my mind. I had to go to therapy and get some things settled in my spirit about who I was and where I was suffering. I had to learn how to enjoy my wife better and more. 31 years of marriage. I had to learn that, you know, I had to, how I'm living my best life is that even with a successful music career, I I enjoy people. See, doing concerts for me, that's like dating.
Hmm.
Dating, you put your best foot forward, you show up, you look in each other's eyes, and it's all, oh, you so fine, and then you just kind of retreat and go your separate ways, or you don't go your separate ways, if you know what I'm saying.
Right.
But when I spend time in a workshop setting where I'm able to pour in to people, where I'm into taking my songs and dissecting the real meaning behind my songs and giving that message to the people and then teach sopranos, altos, and tenors, man, that's my best life right there. Because I'm not just a celebrity. I actually feel like a minister of music for the world.
Wow.
I feel like a minister of music for the world. So it's my job to tell you, he came that you have life more abundant. It's good to be alive, but it's best to live. And then the vamp says, that's what he came for.
That's what.
Jesus, Jesus is the door. Let
Yeah.
him set you free. So I just found like the saints were living in bondage, going to church every Sunday. I refuse to be in bondage and go to church every Sunday. I'm gonna go to church, somebody's church, but I'm gonna be free out here because I want to be a light unto the world. I want to be the flavor that God has called us to be. He said, be the light and the salt.
Wow. Man, I have enjoyed talking with you today.
Man, me too.
What's next for Brent Jones?
Well, my team says I need to do a conference. That overwhelms me, but I know when something overwhelms me, that's probably what I need to be doing because that means it's bigger than what I can see or think or imagine.
Okay.
Of course, we're doing a new live recording starting in March. We're going to do another live recording with 12 more Brent Jones choir jams. I really want to focus in and Carl, I want you to go on your streaming platform and get my record called The Fire. It's a group of teenagers that I mentored in Los Angeles.
Mm-hmm.
I wrote and produced music for them. These are teenagers that said, Uncle Brent, we want to be in the music industry. We want you to show us how to do it successfully. And I took these kids into the studio, showed them what studio life, put them on stage, put mics in their mouth, surrounded them with people, gave them opportunities to rehearse and gave them opportunities to perform, not just gospel, but it's all life, great, life-affirming, positive music that's age-appropriate. It's called The Fire. Brent Jones presents The Fire. I want you to go experience that. These are all my kids, about 15 of them, and we wrote song and produced songs for them. And it's great music, man. It's great music. There's a song on there about bullying. The kids told me, Uncle B, we're being bullied at school. Uncle B, there's a lot of bullying going on. And we sat around how to deal with that. I one of the kids, got in some trouble, and we just talked about it. It was just a good circle of kids that they knew it was a safe space to come together. So we did music, and then we talked about life stuff. So I really want to do more of that. So that's kind of what's new. I'm booked in Japan in September. My first time in Japan. In September, be there for 2 weeks. I'm really excited about that. So yeah, man, just keeping it global and keeping it youthful and doing songs that are going to be bigger than me. I'm always open. God, let me be a vessel that you write bigger songs than me, because best life can be done by anybody. If you can sing runs or you can not run, or I don't know, it doesn't matter. Just teach the song. Teach it.
How can people get in contact with you? How can they get your music? How can they follow you on social media?
Social media on Instagram, on IG, I am Brent Jones Music. Brent Jones Music. Call me, area 310-740-6429. Area 310-740-6429. 6429. I want to come to your city. I am not expensive. My prices are like Walmart. Everybody can get them. Okay. I'm not on living that. I go to Neiman Marcus, but my career is Walmart because I want everybody to be able to afford me and get me because I'm on a mission. I'm on assignment doing what I do. On Facebook, I'm Brent Jones, government name, Brent, Brent Jones. My music is on all streaming platforms. And then my website is BrentJonesSound.com. BrentJonesSound.com. All my tour dates are on there. You can follow me. And, if I'm going to be in your city, come through. All of that.
Man, I am so honored and glad that you and I had a chance to talk. Like I said, I met you through Darius Twyman. I don't know how many years ago. You were at a service, and he's like, "Hey, Carl, this is Brent Jones." So you probably don't remember; it was that long ago.
I don't. I don't. I'm sorry.
Yeah, no, it's good, man. But I'm glad that we had a chance to connect, man. Just hearing your story, hearing your life, it's been an inspiration to me. Just talking to you today. As we close out, you've kind of hit on it, but for someone that's in that stuck space, talk to them about how to get out that space and how to live their best life.
If you're stuck, get out of your hole. Get out. Sometimes you just have to. Sometimes the most the hardest thing about being stuck in your rut, just get out of the hole. Okay, you may not know what's to come outside of the hole. You may not know outside of the hole what it looks like. Don't worry about that. Just get out. Just run. When there's a fire, you just run. You don't know where you're going. Just run. Just get out first. Get out. Anybody that has a substance abuse problem or some kind of addiction, the instructor will tell you, stop doing it. Just stop. Okay. And then we can deal with why you're doing it. But sometimes you got to just stop the behavior. You know what I'm saying? Just stop. Go stop. But sometimes in addiction, you don't know how to stop. Okay. So that's a whole nother problem. I'm not here to be your therapist right now. But wherever you are, just get out of the hole. Means you might have to change your circle. Your family may be keeping you down. Your immediate family. Walk away. Walk away. Do what you got to do. Go get a second job, but get out of that rut. Wow. Go drive Uber. Get out of that rut. Whatever you got to do, especially if you're grown. Now, if you're a child, that's another thing. But if you're grown, whatever you need to do to get out of that hole. Second job, drive Uber. You need to do, Uber Eats. There's so many ways to make extra money now. Do what you got to do. But why are you in a bad relationship? All because, it costs a little more money. Go get you some more money. There's other resources. God has given you a way of escape. You can't be lazy. When you're trying to get out of a rut, you can't be lazy.
Wow. Man,
you can't be lazy.
Thank you so much, Brent, man. This interview has been so awesome.
God bless you.
Your honesty, your sharing your life. I didn't know all this about you, so I appreciate you, man. Feeling comfortable just to hear your story. I really do. I do want to remind everybody, I'll close out all of my shows like this. Again, everybody, go get Brent Jones' new project, Live Your Best Life. And again, as a reminder, work like you don't need the money, love like you never been hurt, and dance like no one's watching you, and live.
Come on.
God
yes, sir.
You. Take care, everyone.
Thank you, guys.
The Carl B. Phillips Show is produced by Carl B. Phillips for Prove Me Productions. For more information about Carl B. Phillips, visit carlbphillips.com. Subscribe to The Carl B. Phillips Show on YouTube or your favorite podcast outlet.